The Double Overgrowth Root Rider army was showcased in the May monthly finals, but in today's video, I'll show you exactly why this is the strongest Root Rider army in the game right now. Let's dive into it. The very first space we will be looking at, it will be an Anti-2 Rage Invis space. As you take a look at the army composition, we have the Double Overgrowth with no rage spell at all. But for the equipment, we do have on the World Champion the Boots and Spear, Grand Warden, Rage Gem, and the Heal Tome. Archer Queen is going to be your classic Giant Arrow and a Giant. And finally for Barbarian King, Spiky Ball, and of course a Snake Bracelet. So, looking at the army composition, Double Overgrowth. What are we looking for when it comes to the Overgrowth spell? And obviously, from the World Champion, carve out a small basic funnel like we are establishing there, essentially for this little section so that we can begin an entry point around this top side. So, in order to do the entry point at the top side, the Overgrowth value-wise will be able to cover the entire core as we are going to be doing there. So, when you are being able to cover that much value with the Overgrowth, you're essentially going to be working around the ring of the base. So, that's exactly what we're forming here. You can see World Champion has carved out a good funnel, Giant Arrow to establish and trigger off that funnel, deal with the CC, and most importantly, activating the invisibility tower of that core of the base. So, entry point of the Root Riders is pretty straightforward, coming in at the very top side. Now, this army, we don't have a rage spell, so this is where the Rage Gem actually comes into play. And because you can see the healers are actually switching between the Giant, the Troop, or the Root Riders, it's inconsistent. And this is where the Heal Tome actually benefits the army itself, is because it can always heal the army. Not only that, it can always heal your healers. In the event, if you pop Sam, run into the Town Hall shot, run into a poison spell tower, this Heal Tome will actually heal your healers back, as you could see in our replays later on as we hit into double poison bases. Or again, if we take any Town Hall shots, yes, the Eternal Tome can actually negate that and cancel that out. But at certain point of times where you need to hold the tome for a later portion of the raid, you won't necessarily have that healing power of, going into the rest of the base. So as you can see, Double Overgrowth just simply canceling out all of the damage so that you can efficiently work around the base with your heroes, with your troops. So by the time the Overgrowth, both of the Overgrowth times out, you will have so much power to basically overwhelm whatever is remaining of that portion of the base. So you can see every single Root Rider with the Heal Tome. Not much you could see effectively happening here because, again, the entire damage was in the core in which we had utilized the Overgrowth for. But let's just jump into the next replay to kind of take a look and dive deeper into it. Secondly, we are going to look at, this time, a double poison Anti-2 base. Now, first things first here is determining a small RC walk to establish a funnel. And for here, for my purposes, the spitters were so free. So I couldn't just say no to the spitters because of how free they essentially look to be able to grab to set a funnel. So with the spitters being canceled out and taken down from the World RC charge, we can either enter it into the Queen compartment or the World Champion with the Root Riders. So obviously, letting the World Champion kind of pick its side to then be able to determine what side I wanted to go. Since the World Champion elected to go towards the Giga Bomb side, I was actually hoping it would go for the Inferno, but she stepped out, which is totally fine because, again, overall, she's getting value that I need for the World Champion charge, which is great. So now that she's carved out the spitters and got a Ricochet Cannon, I am going to take advantage of the funnel and entered on the World Champion side. Starting off with the Giant Arrow to pick off that left sweeper on the hall so that my healers cannot be pushed backwards and fall behind. So, Ice Golem in front. We've got our Root Riders, our healers, and of course the Grand Warden with a Troop Launcher here. Now, I always elect to use a Troop Launcher, but if I don't use a Troop Launcher, it will always be the Log Launcher. So, as we are diving into the base, we got a Giga Bomb, Inferno, Scattershot, Poison, and a Town Hall shot. So I could have easily used the Warden ability here, but because we are not engaging the Clan Castle, which stalls anything up, I've elected to kind of let my healers kind of do the work and kind of push through the base itself. So you can see with the balloons coming out of the Troop Launcher, we've got the Sneezy Boogers coming out. It would be pulling or be tanking anything coming out in terms of trap wise. So you can see the healers are slightly getting low, but from the initial Town Hall shot, but you just keep Overgrowth the Town Hall. And to be able to use the first Overgrowth on the Town Hall essentially allows you to be able to deal with Ice Golems potentially coming out of the Clan Castle, so you won't be stalled and you get the full maximum power and healing effect onto your troops. So you can see Warden ability still intact, RC ability still intact. Queen was in a perfect position to be able to grab the hull after that second Overgrowth wore out. Here is where I'm going to elect to pop the Warden ability because we're going into the remaining damage, which obviously wouldn't have mattered since we got potentially 3 heroes abilities going into the back end. But nonetheless here, using the ability to kind of keep everything alive, the healing Tome, AC, powers of Root Riders, healed the Root Riders back, healed the healers back up to full health to where we are going to be able to finish off with Swagged RC ability, Swag King ability, and you can just see the power it provides hitting an anti-2 base with 2 Overgrowth Root Riders. But now, what happens if we run it to a teaser base? Let's look into that. Next up is, of course, the teaser base. We are going to start off with the first one, which will be a sort of a diamond one. Of course, I want to go through a box one as well, so we can kind of see how to approach a lot of these bases. So, teaser base, this one, we're going to see a lot of compact core, which is very stacked. Obviously here, with this RC, the whole point of this one was what I saw with the redirect. As we could see with the redirect there, we are able to get the world champion to carve off one portion of the rage, which she's going to be able to get a spitter, inferno, scatter, and the poison tower. So obviously it's going to be a pretty good RC charge here because of that value and the funnel that it does provide. And not only that, it does also pull the clan castle troop for us. So box still intact, which is great because the more you get out of that value, the easier this will actually become for you. Now, and even if you didn't get that value, you only got the bottom compartment, that would have been totally fine because again, your funnel is pretty much established as well with that. So here, giant arrow to kind of get the giant to tank in front so the queen doesn't take the damage, dealing with the CC, and immediately then starting our Root Riders entry point into the town hall. So we can't overgrowth the town hall here because if you do that, you're going to work around the town hall. And if there was a lot of damage behind the town hall and a longer path to get to the town hall, I would have elected to do that. But because it's so free, there's no point in needing to because you could take the initial shot, heal, and the rage gem kind of will push you through that. So what are we going to overgrowth instead? Now, I've neglected to actually overgrowth this core so that we don't have a wide split going in the back end. So everything can kind of push together and work towards this top side and work around that base for us there. So that's exactly why I've kind of wanted to use that first overgrowth to kind of path everything upwards. And then I'm going to use the second overgrowth at the same position to have and ensure everything works around and finishes on that core. So you can see RC ability had to be popped early there just to kind of preserve her ability so she can kind of push through the core. Fortunately, she still got ahead, which is okay because we still have the Warden ability, King ability still intact. We have the Skelly in position to tank the minion prince and the defenses on the back end. So many troops coming out and still alive because of what the troop launcher does provide. So obviously, this is why I elected to use troop launcher because it's always going to be with your Root Riders, with your main force as you push through the base. And of course, it provides the tankage for your entire army. Basically, a huge smash army. So, second overgrowth wore out. We did use our freeze on that core, but as I talked about, we are going to be ending on the core. But with the King ability and of course Queen and Warden still alive with the Root Riders, we are going to have enough just to finish onto that core with the ability. So very nice approach. Being able to get that much value from the RC obviously helped the most. But now let's take a look at a box teaser base. And of course, box base, not necessarily box, but an anti-2 box. Now, I kind of wanted to show this mainly because it's not necessarily a stacked core anti-2, but it's more so highlighting the double rage on the flanks. So here, obviously, I kind of wanted to showcase this one mainly because of the flank and how to handle with that. And of course, the first step is setting up a very narrow RC funnel, which establishes an entry point. Now, you could have entered either at the top side or on the bottom side after this RC, because if your RC is able to clear off the middle, you essentially have 2 entry points, either the top, the left side, or the upper rightmost side. So I've elected to kind of wanted to enter towards this bottom side, and the main point is that because the RC and its spear will be able to grab the town hall for me at a better angle from here than versus from the very top side where the MP is. So that's exactly why I've kind of entered on the left side as I am there. Obviously, now it is a lot of damage there, but because of the ice golem being able to do some initial freeze for me, and I'm also got a freeze there, it will kind of help and kind of push my force through there. Now, the main important thing is that I actually overgrowth before it took a shot out on the Root Riders, because I know going into that rage it's going to force a very early Warden ability, but I kind of needed to save the Warden ability until after the first overgrowth versus using it before the overgrowth. So As you saw in the Overgrowth, I got the Town Hall, I got the Spitter on that right, so that way I would be taking the Rage, Spitter, damage, etc. So that's exactly why I kind of elected and have done that. And you can see healers are getting a little bit behind between the Yeti and the Root Riders, but the good thing about the Spear is what it does there. You could stop her and let the Root Rider and the army get ahead, and then the RC can actually switch and target the hull as that did there. So what I did with the second Overgrowth is obviously taken and kind of canceled out the other raid so that my army can kind of regenerate its health and kind of push and work together towards this back end of the base. As you can see, a Rage compartment is not very easy. We got the Mono, the Inferno, Giga Bomb, both exposed, but with those two heroes' ability clapping on that back end, of course, with the World Champion warded all the heroes up, there's nothing stopping this army. So finally, let's take a look at a double invis base. Finally, the double invis teaser diamond base. Now, this is something quite common. Some may question how to deal with it, but obviously the always go-to approach for me on a double invis is to use the Skelly Donut. That is exactly why the skeleton spell is pretty much multi-use case, because you can either use it for invis bases, that's double invis, or you can actually use it to take defenses. In this purpose, we are using it to actually activate the invis to actually establish a world champion funnel here. So that's exactly what we are doing here. It's kind of letting the world champion take out a compartment and then kind of establish its funnel after that by going into the town hall. Because going into the town hall, you won't have to worry about a single spitter. The only thing is that could really hurt you is pathing of the Root Riders. But again, being able to eliminate the very first invis tower, which had a good chunk of value there, is very crucial here. And as you can see, the world champion is still going. She's getting more value even after considering that she had the invis, one less invis already to go there. But to be able to time that, I did actually wait until it got to like the 250-minute mark, just so in case you're worried about, oh, how can I actually time it? Well, there you go. If you use your RC at the 250 mark, you will be able to still use that idea of the every 6 and the 10th second there for your cycling process. So now, Giant Arrow, deactivate the other invis tower. We got everything going right into the town hall. After being able to deal with the CC, it was, I believe, Furnace CC, which the poison took care of that without any issue. So now this is what I was talking about, pathing. The Overgrowth is where it would actually come into play to kind of redirect everything. And of course, I'm going to be Overgrowth the Monolith section of the base, because now with this, everything can kind of push back and work upwards. But because the sweeper actually got caught, I probably should have got the scatter shot instead and used the sweeper to push everything up. No worries at all, because again, I've got a huge split of the army. Heroes going at the top side, and then of course a Root Rider with the ward ability going towards that bottom. Now the Root Riders aren't necessarily taking too much, and again, this is why I feel like going against invis bases is probably going to be the easiest of all, because the spell tower just really does nothing. So again, heal tome coming in, essentially keeping the healers up, keeping the Root Riders going into the scatter shot, and of course whatever is remaining on the back end. But with 4 heroes ability and a spell tower that does nothing, the second Overgrowth wasn't really going to be needed here, because of being able to kind of take care of the town hall, all of the heroes, and then what's remaining on the back end was not going to ever be enough to be able to take down everything of what we had left. So of course, I'll go ahead and link the army composition down below in the comments. If you guys like this video, make sure you go ahead, give it a thumbs up, and comment down below what you guys would like to see more in our videos. But until then, I'll catch you all in the very next one. Go Stout.